Stanley is just a cup, right? A simple, oversized tumbler meant to hold your coffee or water. But somehow, in the past few years, it has become more of a status symbol than just a cup. It has become a viral obsession, a must-have item people are willing to camp out overnight and wait out long queue lines for. How did it ever get here? Was it just clever marketing? Or did the company tap into something deeper, something psychological that made people realize they needed this cup all of a sudden? In this video, we're breaking down the insane rise of the Stanley Cup, from its humble beginnings to becoming the most talked about drinking cup on the planet. Before we continue, please do like the video and subscribe to our channel. The challenge of maintaining beverage temperatures during long work hours was a common grievance among laborers in the early 20th century. Glass vacuum bottles existed, but were fragile and ill-suited for rugged environments. That's when William Stanley Jr. came into the scene, an electrical engineer renowned for his work with transformers. In 1913, leveraging his expertise, Stanley patented the first all-steel double-walled vacuum bottle, ingeniously replacing the delicate glass interior with robust steel. This innovation not only enhanced durability, but also ensured beverages remained hot or cold for extended periods. Stanley established the Stanley Insulating Company in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, to mass-produce these bottles. Initially marketed under names like Ferrostat and later Supervac, these thermoses quickly gained a reputation for their resilience. Their sturdy construction made them ideal for construction workers, outdoorsmen, and blue-collar professionals who required reliable beverage containers in demanding conditions. The US military even tested these thermoses during World War I by subjecting them to extreme conditions, such as dropping them from aircraft and running over them with heavy machinery, tests which they reportedly withstood admirably. For a very long time, Stanley's products epitomized functionality over form. The design remained consistent, characterized by its utilitarian aesthetic and signature hammer-tone green finish. While this approach solidified Stanley's reputation for durability and reliability, it also pigeonholed the brand into a niche market. The thermoses were seen as practical tools for the working class, rather than fashionable accessories. This perception persisted throughout much of the 20th century, with Stanley products being staples on construction sites and camping trips, but rarely making appearances in mainstream consumer culture. In 2016, Stanley sought to diversify its product line and appealed to a broader audience by introducing the 40-ounce Quencher, a vacuum-insulated tumbler designed to keep beverages at their desired temperatures for extended periods. Despite its practical features, the Quencher initially struggled to gain traction in the market. Sales were sluggish, and the product failed to resonate with consumers beyond Stanley's traditional base. The lack of a targeted marketing strategy and the brand's entrenched image as a provider of rugged utilitarian products contributed to the Quencher's underwhelming debut. By 2019, the situation seemed so dire that Stanley ceased production and distribution of the Quencher altogether. It was a great product, agreed, but no one outside of Stanley's traditional customer base saw its true potential. That all changed when a small shopping blog called The Buy Guide made a discovery that would completely transform the brand's trajectory. This is when The Buy Guide, ran by a group of women in Utah, came in. The Buy Guide wasn't a massive retail giant or a marketing powerhouse. It was simply a well-connected blog that specialized in finding hidden gems, products that solved everyday problems but hadn't yet reached mainstream popularity. One day, they stumbled upon the Quencher and had an epiphany. This wasn't just a rugged tumbler for blue-collar workers. It was exactly what busy moms, teachers, nurses, and professionals had been looking for. A large, easy-to-carry water cup that actually fits into their chaotic lives. They began promoting it heavily, not just as a practical purchase, but as an essential companion for women on the go. They emphasized its size, its ability to keep drinks ice-cold for hours, and its convenience. But despite their best efforts, sales didn't explode overnight. Something was still missing. A catalyst that would push the Quencher from a niche recommendation into a full-blown obsession. That moment came when the Buy Guide made a strategic decision to send a Quencher to Emily Maynard Johnson, a former Bachelorette star and social media influencer with a devoted following of women in their 20s and 30s. They knew that if she casually showcased the cup in her everyday routine, it would resonate with her audience. And that's exactly what happened. Emily posted a simple Instagram story featuring the Quencher, and almost immediately her followers took notice. Within hours, people were asking where they could buy one. Demand surged in a way that even the Buy Guide hadn't anticipated. When they reached out to Stanley asking if they could buy 5,000 units to sell directly to their audience, Stanley agreed, though they were skeptical of how well it would do. To everyone's shock, the entire inventory sold out in just 5 days. That was the moment everything changed. The quencher was no longer a forgotten product sitting on store shelves. It had become a must-have item, and the frenzy was only just beginning. With the sudden explosion in demand, Stanley found itself in an unfamiliar position. For over a century, it had built its reputation on serving blue-collar workers, outdoorsmen, and those who valued function over aesthetics. But now, for the first time in its history, a completely different audience was dictating its success: women, particularly those between the ages of 24 and 45. The brand had two choices: treat the quencher as a one-off anomaly, or fully embrace this unexpected shift. They chose the latter, and in doing so, they transformed not just the quencher, but Stanley itself. The first step was reimagining the product to align with its new audience. Traditionally, Stanley's tumblers were built for utility, often in muted colors with a bulky industrial feel. That wasn't going to work for the growing wave of women who wanted their water bottles to be both functional and fashionable. Stanley revamped the quencher, introducing sleek ergonomic handles, a cup holder friendly base, and a growing array of colors that range from soft pastels to vibrant seasonal hues. It wasn't just a tumbler anymore, but an accessory. But the biggest shift wasn't just in the design, it was in the marketing strategy. Instead of relying on traditional advertising, Stanley leaned into social media and influencer partnerships. TikTok, in particular, became the brand's secret weapon. The timing couldn't have been better. Right as the quencher was gaining momentum, a viral trend called #WaterTalk was taking off, where influencers showcased their elaborate hydration routines, turning drinking water into a lifestyle. The quencher fit perfectly into this movement. With its massive 40-ounce size and visually appealing colors, it became the ultimate symbol of the hydration-obsessed generation. To fuel this frenzy even more, Stanley introduced limited edition color drops, creating a sense of exclusivity and urgency. Each new release sent fans into a buying frenzy, with some colors selling out within minutes and resellers flipping them for double or even triple the original price. What started as a simple cup was now a collector's item, a status symbol, and a cultural phenomenon all rolled into one. Stanley had gone from being a legacy brand with a niche audience to a powerhouse in the lifestyle space. Just when it seemed like the Stanley craze had peaked, an unexpected event sent the brand into an even bigger viral stratosphere. In November of 2023, a TikToker named Danielle posted a video that captured something so surreal, so unbelievable, that it instantly became a cultural moment. Her car had been completely destroyed in a fire, charred remains, melted interiors, and nothing salvageable in sight. But then, she pointed to the one thing in the wreckage that had somehow survived unscathed: her Stanley quencher. Not only was the tumbler fully intact, but it still had ice inside. The sheer absurdity of it sent social media into a frenzy. How was that possible? How could a simple water cup withstand a fire that had obliterated everything around it? The video exploded overnight, racking up millions of views as people flooded the comments praising Stanley's indestructible quality. This moment was the perfect storm, equal parts shocking, humorous, and a testament to the brand's durability. But what happened next was what truly cemented Stanley as more than just a popular product. Rather than just capitalizing on the moment with a clever marketing post, Stanley took things a step further. In a move that felt both unexpected and brilliantly on brand, the company's CEO, Terrence Riley, personally responded to Danielle's video. Not only did he acknowledge the wild durability of the cup, but he made an even bolder gesture. Stanley was going to buy her a new car. That single act took the brand from viral sensation to cultural icon. It wasn't just about selling tumblers anymore, but reinforcing a brand identity built on quality, loyalty, and a deep connection with its customers. The internet erupted with praise, solidifying Stanley as more than a trend. It was a movement, a brand that didn't just ride the wave of social media, but understood it. And just like that, the legend of Stanley grew even bigger. By this point, Stanley wasn't just making drinkware, it was making history. And if there's one thing the brand had mastered, it was the art of scarcity. What had once been a practical product now became a collector's obsession, and Stanley knew exactly how to feed the frenzy. Limited edition releases became the brand's secret weapon. Instead of simply keeping up with demand, Stanley took a different approach, strategically dropping exclusive colors and collaborations that instantly turned each new release into an event. The cups weren't just items, they were trophies, and the chase to get them was half the fun. One of the biggest game changers was Stanley's collaboration with Starbucks. The partnership combined the cult-like loyalty of two powerhouse brands, creating exclusive quenchers that were only available at select Starbucks locations. The result? Absolute chaos. Fans lined up hours before stores opened, and within minutes, the cups were completely sold out. Some buyers immediately flipped them on eBay, where prices soared into the hundreds of dollars, far beyond the original retail price. But it wasn't just Starbucks fueling the madness. Retail giants like Target and high-profile influencers also jumped into the mix, each collaboration bringing new waves of hype. The more exclusive the drop, the more people wanted it. Some stories even had to enforce purchase limits, restricting buyers to 2 quenchers per person to prevent resellers from clearing out entire inventories. What made it even wilder was that this wasn't happening in a vacuum. The social media buzz turned every drop into an event, with TikTokers documenting their hunts, showing off their hauls, and debating which colors were the rarest. Stanley had cracked the code, not just in selling a product, but in turning it into a status symbol. At this point, the question wasn't whether a Stanley release would sell out, it was how fast. If someone had told you back in 2019 that a century-old thermos company would become one of the hottest brands on the planet, you might have laughed it off. But here's where things took a mind-blowing turn. In 2019, Stanley was pulling in a respectable $73 million in revenue, a solid number for a company best known for its rugged, no-frill thermoses. But that was just the calm before the storm. The following year, despite a global pandemic, Stanley's revenue jumped to $94 million. Impressive? Sure, but still nothing compared to what was about to happen next. By 2021, the quencher craze was heating up, and the numbers told the story. Revenue more than doubled, skyrocketing to $194 million. At this point, Stanley wasn't just growing, it was exploding. Then came 2022, and the brand shattered expectations again, pulling in a staggering $402 million. The quencher wasn't just a popular product anymore, it was a cultural phenomenon. And hold on, because this is where things get absolutely insane. In 2023, Stanley didn't just break records, it obliterated them. Annual sales hit an eye-watering $750 million. Let that sink in. In just 4 years, the brand had grown more than tenfold. This wasn't just a lucky break, it was a masterclass in modern branding. And at the center of it all, a man with a vision. Every viral success story has a mastermind behind the scenes. And for Stanley, that man was Terrence Riley. If his name doesn't ring a bell, his work definitely does, because before he turned Stanley into a cultural force, he helped revive another unexpected brand, Crocs. Yes, the same Crocs that went from being a clunky, lover-hated shoe to an absolute must-have. Riley had cracked the code once, and when he stepped in as Stanley's CEO, he was about to do it again. But here's where things get even more interesting. Riley didn't rely on traditional advertising. No expensive TV spots, no generic billboards. Instead, he went all in on social media, influencer culture, and most importantly, community-driven hype. The old Stanley was a brand for workers. The new Stanley? It was a lifestyle. He understood that people didn't just want to buy a water bottle, they wanted to be part of a movement. He leaned into TikTok trends, partnered with influencers, and turned the quencher into a status symbol. And the best part? This might just be the beginning. When a product becomes a cultural sensation, you can bet imitators will follow. And sure enough, the quencher's wild success sparked an avalanche of copycats. From Aldi's Thirst Crusher to budget-friendly dupes flooding Amazon, everyone wanted a piece of the action. But here's the big question. Can Stanley hold his throne, or is this just another passing trend? The future could go one or two ways. On one hand, Stanley might solidify itself as the Yeti of drinkware, a premium must-have brand with lasting power. On the other, oversaturation and market fatigue could water down its exclusivity. To stay ahead, Stanley will need to innovate, expect more limited edition collaborations, sustainability-driven designs, and maybe even tech-enhanced features. And that's how Stanley moved from being just a niche brand to a movement. And only time will tell if it can keep up the momentum. What do you think about the meteoric rise of Stanley Cups? Kindly share your thoughts with us in the comments. And do like and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting stories behind the brands.